You only should be watching this video if you are done with what it said to do on this front page. So go back and read your agenda on Google Classroom if you have not done what is on your agenda on Google Classroom before this video. Once you are, in fact, in this location, we're going to talk about problem number 1 together. In this lesson, you are going to have word problems. You're going to have 2 types of word problems that you're going to deal with. In this first video, we're going to look at the first type. So the first type is going to be dealing with some rectangles. So I am noticing on a lot of your problems, it has equation with the line and then define your variables, and your line just happened to be down here. So go ahead and just, put a line in there. Same thing with all of your others that don't have that line there, just put that there. First thing you're going to want to do is read your problem. So this first one says the length of a rectangle is 5 more than the width. The perimeter is 50 inches. You're going to find the dimensions of the rectangle. Now on your quiz, you have to have a few things. You have to define your variables. You have to have an equation. And then you have to have a solution. And ideally, between your equation and your solution, you have some work, so that way I can give you partial credit. But you have to have equation, define your variables, and solution. And I know equation is written first, but you actually should define your variable first. So when you define your variable, you can pick any letter you want to, but you need to tell me what that letter is going to stand for in this problem, and not a number. I mean, what thing does it mean? What does it represent? The length of a rectangle is 5 more than the width. So this right here, 5 more than the width. So I'm going to use the letter W, and that is going to stand for the width. So I'm going to draw a picture of a rectangle here. And it does not matter which one you consider the length and which one you consider the width. All right, so I'm going to call this the width. This is our width here. And how a rectangle works, that means this also is your width. So this is also W. Now, the length, it says, is 5 more than the width. So this little expression I created here is my length. So 5 plus W, which is then also on the bottom. So these are my widths. It doesn't tell me anything about the width, so I just put W for width. But the length, it tells me is 5 more than the width. So 5 more than the width. Now I'm going to use that information and the fact that the perimeter is 50 inches to write an equation. For the perimeter, a perimeter of a rectangle, just as a fact, the perimeter is just the length plus the width plus the width. You're just adding all of these sides. So I'm going to use that and this information here and here. The perimeter is 50 inches. So where I have P, I'm going to put 50 equals my length side, I'm using 5 plus W, plus my length side, I'm using 5 plus W, plus my width, I'm using W, plus my width again, I'm using W. So I'm taking what I know my perimeter is and setting it equal to all 4 sides added together. And it doesn't matter what order you have those in, right? You could have done 5 plus W plus 5 plus W plus W. As long as you have all 4 sides and they're all being added. Now, this right here, in between that 5 and that W, is a plus sign only because it says more than. If that would have said a less than or subtracted from or difference, then you put a minus sign. Now, to get to your solution, we're going to solve this. We want to find the dimensions, which is another word for finding the length and the width. So we're going to solve this equation using what you've learned in lessons 1, 2, and 3. We have no distributing to do, so we can skip that. We do have combining like terms. So here's your equal sign. I have a 5 and a 5, so I'm going to keep 50 equals 5 plus 5 is 10. And I also have these W's. When you add those together, you're going to pay attention to the coefficient in front of them. They don't have anything, so remember there's a 1 in front of each of those. In some of your examples, maybe you have a 2, and then you would have 2 plus whatever. So 1W plus 1W plus 1W plus 1W happens to be 4W. You do not need to move your variable since you only have a variable on one side. You don't need to move it. Then we are going to get rid of the constant on the same side as our variable. So here's the side we're going to focus on. Your constant is the 10, which is positive, so we are going to subtract. 50 minus 10 is 40. 10 minus 10 is gone. Bring down your 4W. Then to get rid of the number, your coefficient in front of W, we are going to divide. 40 divided by 4 is 10, and that equals W. Now, we're not done. We're done solving. Now we need to answer the question. Find the dimensions. Well, W equals 10. W is your width. And I want some units on this because I'm dealing with this perimeter of this shape. It's 50 inches, so your width is 10 inches. Well, now we need to find the length. It didn't say find the width, it said find the dimensions. We found the width, now we need to find the length. Well, the length is 5 plus W, which is 5 plus 10, which is 15 inches. And then you can check. To find your perimeter, you would add your width plus your width plus your length plus your length. 10 plus 10 is 20. 20 plus 15 is 35. 35 plus 15 again is 50, which is what we should have. You're going to try some problems on your own before you move on to the next type.